Hey there, Bible buddies. I've got another Bible review for you today. And this one is a King James Version produced in 1943 by Collins. Now, this particular model is the Fontana, which you'll see is pretty similar to about the size of a Pitt Minion. It's pretty thin, a little bit less than half an inch, and the size is pretty portable without being kind of hard to read. So we'll go ahead and get into it and take a look. First thing I want to show you is this box. I did include the box, which is pretty unique, especially for an eBay find. I did have kind of all the associated goodies with it, so we'll go ahead and start I guess on the outside here. It's just a plain blue box, and it is a three-piece box, which is kind of interesting. You can kind of see it there. There's no information anywhere else on the box except for this little stick-on tab. I'll go ahead and show you the model information there. You guys can pause it if you want to read it. And then there is this interesting little note here. Apparently this is their gift pack, and what you're supposed to do when you're the Bible retailer is once you sell this Bible, you're supposed to remove this top portion and discard it. And then just give the customer, kind of this portion of the box. And I'm glad that they didn't discard it because it did have that information. And it does create like a nice little whole package kind of deal. So it's kind of cool finding the complete box. So if we open this up, maybe, we'll see it's just a plain gold top. There's nothing much to it. And then that blue bottom. There is these little cardboard inserts here. And this is to kind of keep the Bible from shifting in the packaging. I don't know why they wouldn't have just made the packaging a little bit smaller. That's kind of confusing to me. I guess maybe unless they reuse this box for maybe a taller size or something like that. But I'm not sure. I don't know why they would have done that. And typically these little cardboard inserts tend to kind of crease the yap on the Bibles if there is one. It didn't in this case, thankfully, but I have a few Bibles where it's like permanently dented in these two like awkward places in the middle of the Bible because of these sorts of things. So I'm glad they did away with that in modern Bible boxes. We'll go ahead and take a look here. It did include one of these cool little cards, and you guys might have seen this if you watched my ephemera video, but it's a little kind of card on how to take care of your Bible and how to break it in. So we're going to show that to you. If you guys want to pause it and read it, you can. Set it to the side. Now the Bible is here, and it's very nice. I love this leather. It's just a genuine leather, plain genuine leather. Nothing crazy about it. It's just a very well done Bible. So we're going to take a look at it. It does have a double perimeter line there around the edge. A very nice grain. And it does have Holy Bible imprinted on the front. All the perimeter lines continue. We have Holy Bible in the spine. And then the only other wording that we have is concordance down there at the bottom. There are 5 rib indications here. They're pressed in and they're very shallow. So nothing too crazy. On the back, we have that nice grain that continues along with the perimeter lines there. And we do have a nice red under gold art gilt. You can see it's very shiny. This is probably 24 karat gold or like a real gold leaf paper that they used to use back in the day because it is very shiny and it has not oxidized or anything like that. We do have white head and tail bands and then a single purple ribbon. Now, one thing to note, these purple ribbons are absolutely terrible. I hate these purple ribbons. Whatever material they used and whatever the woven pattern is here, it tends to kind of stretch if you pull on it or kind of fatten up if you kind of press on it. And I found that over the years what happens is they end up just getting like really stretched and long, thin and narrow, and then they just break very easily. And this one's pretty stained up, so it's kind of gnarly looking up close. I don't know if you guys can see it, but for me at least. So it's not the best of ribbons, but it's a ribbon marker, I guess, nonetheless. Go ahead and take a look here. We do have some nice corner work there. And it is an edge-lined leather edition, and it's kind of a weird edge-line the way they did it. Like, you have the liner here, and it does tab up onto the block. But, in modern Bibles, you'll see where they kind of, like this fold over, they put it on top of the edge lining here, the liner. So I'm not sure why they didn't do that. Maybe they just didn't think to do it. Who knows? As far as the back goes, kind of more of the same. And there's nothing printed on the bottom or anything indicating the leather type. Just, whatever was on the box. We do have paper end sheets there. We have one blank sheet. And then it gets right into the title page there. Go ahead and show it to you guys. You have the stamp there that it's the Authorized KJV. And it was produced by Collins. And it is the Fontana with the 16 MO size and references on India paper. And this paper is exquisitely thin. If I had a guess, I'd probably say, I don't even know, 18 GSM or 20 GSM. It is very thin. It's like onion skin. And you can see some kind of a weirdness going on here, a little kind of like star pattern. This is caused, and at the top as well. This is caused by either handling the Bible with sweaty hands or by licking your fingers before you turn the page. So I could possibly be touching somebody's spit from the 1950s. But I would have to recommend that if you, maybe don't lick your fingers before you use your Bible. I guess if you're outside and you're hot, that's one thing, but maybe stay away from the finger licking goodness. We'll go ahead and take a look at the copyright page there, and you can see some of the details concerning where it was printed, how many copies, and the year that it was printed, and then at the bottom it just says printed in Great Britain. There is the epistle dedicatory that's kind of standard for the KJV. We have the table of contents, and then the pronunciation guide marks, and then we have the first book of Moses called Genesis. I'll go ahead and get you guys in close there so you can see that nice, beautiful India paper. And despite it being so thin, it is very opaque. I mean, there's a ever so slight bit of show through. I'll try and show you guys again later on. You can see a little bit kind of up here, but it's very minimal, especially considering how thin this paper is. So we'll turn the page. You see the layout's pretty nice. It is a center column reference edition. You have the book name and the chapters associated with those pages. You have a running header here at the top, page numbers at the bottom in the center. And then the only thing in the text would be the pronunciation marks and then the cross-reference indicators. So it's a pretty nice edition, very clean. It's not, I shouldn't say very clean. It's not very clean, but it doesn't feel too overdone, I guess. There's no chapter summaries or anything like that. You can see a little bit of the crinkling here in this paper. I have a feeling this Bible might have been exposed to some moisture at some point because the pages are kind of crinkling very unnaturally there. It might have just been the binding, but it kind of feels more like a humidity or a moisture kind of issue that it might have had. You can see how crinkly it is here in the gutter there. But let's go ahead and take a look at the poetic setting. Not that there's going to be anything. We'll take a look either way. Very nice paper again, very nice paper, lovely paper. And I think I say this just about every time, but I wish that they were still able to make this paper. And you can see the very nice red and gold art gilt. Absolutely beautiful, very deep, rich color there. Love it. Great example of art gilt. Now, just like kind of the standard for KJVs, they are using Pilcrow markers there. You can see it on verse 13 to indicate new paragraphs, because this is a verse-by-verse layout. And went a little too far. We'll go back, but I believe it's a black letter edition. I don't think that there's any red letter in this one. Yeah, no red letter, it's a black letter edition. So, a nice traditional black letter edition. Then we get to the end of the Bible, and you have the index and concordance here. This Bible appears to be very well used, because it does have a lot of those finger marks on the pages. So hopefully the person that had it before me read it and read it well. Let's go ahead and take a look at the concordance. You can see a little bit more show through here in the concordance, and that might just be due to the fact that there's more ink. These kind of words tend to be they look a little bit bolder than the biblical text was. So that might be why I just have that extra kind of ink coverage. I'll show you again some more there. Some of the entries. So you have a pretty sizable concordance there, which is funny because imagine if they would have left the concordance out. This is a pretty good bit of thickness there, so you probably could have gotten it down to 3/8 of an inch thick for this whole Bible, had they ignored that, or even less, I would imagine. It goes on pretty far. Yep, concordance. Oh, my favorite. I see it. I see it up there. Hopefully you guys can see it with me. Oh, but they call it an index to maps. Not a gazetteer. So you have the index to the maps. Then you have your maps. So these are some highly dated maps. Thankfully there's much improvement nowadays versus these maps. And these maps are printed on kind of a thicker, not quite cardstock, but just a thicker paper. It is a matte finish paper, so if you wanted to take notes or anything like that, it's certainly doable. Now, there is, though, quite a bit of yellowing on these pages, so I would imagine they're not treated with the same treatment as the Oxford paper, so they will probably just continue to yellow over time. But it could just be all the yellow print on the page. I like that yellow, goodness. Some pretty classic maps, though. I'm kind of partial to this sort of thing. I don't know. Sometimes these maps are kind of endearing. They just remind me of those old globes. I don't know if you guys ever had one, but I always had an old globe or an old mapping in my room. My parents were big on geography for some reason, so it was kind of nice. It's kind of nice seeing this sort of older style. We have the last map there, and there is kind of a thicker page. And then we do have the production code there as far as the model number, marked as AF 3491 maybe, with a 4 kind of floating off the edge there. So that's the final flyleaf there. And that's it. Let me go ahead and get your measurements, and then I'll try and grab a Pitt Minion to compare it to, only because I feel like that might be like the only thing that would probably be close to this, because it's pretty similar. And so this one comes in at 5 1/4 inches wide, 7.5 tall, and then here's the big one. So the thickness here measures in at just about 7/8 of an inch thick. So maybe a smidge smaller, but still a pretty trim edition. Let's go ahead and take a look at the font sizes. There we go. And we'll take a look at a lowercase m first. And it seems to be about an 8-point. Yeah, 8-point lowercase. And we'll use an N. About a 7.5-point uppercase. So like I tend to do, we'll go by the lowercase. Since there's more lowercase letters, we'll say an 8-point font. So an 8-point font for this isn't bad at all, especially given how thin it is. So let me go ahead and grab a Pitt Minion, and I will be right back. So I have my handy dandy NLT Pitt Minion here. We'll take a look. It is very similar. Almost one and the same. I know there was a lot of Bible copycatting back in the day, so there's no telling, but Collins might have gotten their hands on a Pitt Minion from back in the day and said, man, that'd be a good idea. So who knows? You can see the Collins is ever so slightly thinner than the Pitt Minion there. Come to think of it, I think that I do have one Collins that is slightly thinner than this one. So there might be one that edges this one out. Maybe it's an Oxford that's slightly thinner, but I'll get to it eventually. You guys will see it pop up. But yeah, so slightly thinner here than the Pitt Minion, but otherwise the footprint is the same. Yeah, let's compare the text right quick. So if you guys happen to find one of these Fontanas, I would definitely recommend it because they are pretty lovely editions. And they do pop up on eBay pretty regularly. Now you can see this is the Pitt Minion on the right here. You can see that the Pitt Minion's paper is considerably brighter. I'm not sure if that's coming across on camera, but it's a good bit brighter. However, the opacity is better on the Fontana's paper. And the fonts, I don't know, it's kind of, I guess it depends what you like. This is, the Pitt Minion certainly has a cleaner font, and it's an updated font. This is more of one of those hot letterpress fonts. So it's a little kind of, got some variation to it, not very much, though it's a pretty good font for what it is, but it's certainly much more bold than this font, and it looks to be, the leading seems to be about the same, but I think that the Fontana is going to have ever so slightly larger text versus the Pitt Minion. If I remember, the Pitt was somewhere around 7, and this was an 8, so slightly bigger. But definitely, yeah, if you guys can find one of these Collins Fontanas, I would definitely recommend picking one up. Otherwise, Bible Buddies, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them down below. Give me a like, comment, subscribe, all that cool YouTube stuff. Otherwise, until next time, Bible Buddies, bye.